Did you ever hear the story of how Jordan Davis really ended up on the Eagles? You know, the 6'6", 341-pound freak nose tackle who ran a 4.78 40 and anchored the elite Georgia championship defense? You have to go back to the 2020 season. It's Week 17, Sunday Night Football, and the last game of the regular season. The Washington football team is facing off against the Eagles, and Philadelphia has nothing to play for. They're 4-10-1, with starting quarterback Carson Wentz inactive because of his fractured relationship with head coach Doug Peterson. Yet Washington is fighting for the last spot in the playoffs. If they win, they're in. If they lose, the New York Giants will get in. Heading into the fourth quarter, it's a 3-point game when head coach Doug Peterson did what many considered to be unthinkable. He benched quarterback Jalen Hurts for fourth-year backup Nate Sudfeld. To this point in Sudfeld's 4-year career, he had totaled just 25 pass attempts, and after this game, he would never throw an NFL pass again. Sudfeld proceeded to complete 5 of 12 passes for 32 yards, lose a fumble, throw an interception, take multiple sacks, and ultimately lose the game. It was clear to everyone watching what the Eagles were doing. They were tanking to improve their draft position. A win would net them the 9th position in the draft. A loss, the 6th. As soon as the game was over, the national media was ready to tee off.
If I'd been Jeffrey Lurie last night,
you'd have fired him after the game?
I would have marched down from the empty press box. I would have gone to the locker room. I would have looked in at him and said, "Could you come out here for a second, please?" And I would have said, "You are done as my coach."
This is not basketball where one guy is going to have that much of an influence. But at least then I understand. I might even agree with it. That's not the case. Go from 9 to 6? Are you kidding? The Giants aren't in the playoffs and really didn't have a chance because Doug Peterson pulled that stunt?
So, if I'm the NFL, if I'm Roger Goodell, I'm putting on my Kennesaw Mountain Landis pants on right now.
Uh-oh.
And I'm doing a forensic investigation of what went down.
You're being serious?
Totally. 2,000%.
Soon afterwards, Peterson would be relieved of his coaching duties, and the national sports media would turn to focusing on the playoffs. As the league got closer to draft day, NFL franchises started making moves that would shape their future. The San Francisco 49ers knew they were ready to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, and made an aggressive trade with Miami to move up from the 12th selection to the 3rd overall pick, who would eventually become quarterback Trey Lance. Miami picked up the 12th overall selection, as well as 2 future first-rounders and a 3rd-rounder in the trade. Yet coming out of their own self-inflicted teardown and rebuild, Miami felt they needed to add a legitimate wide receiver 1 for their young quarterback, and were too far down the draft board to guarantee getting one. This is where the one-game tank paid off for Philadelphia. By owning the 6th overall pick, the Eagles were able to capitalize on other teams' aggression and the extremely high prices teams are willing to pay to move within the top 10 picks. In this case, the Eagles moved down 6 spots to the 12th overall selection and collected a 2022 first-round pick in the process. That first-round pick the Eagles acquired, with a minor trade-up, would eventually become defensive tackle Jordan Davis. This was only possible because the Eagles' general manager Howie Roseman and head coach Doug Peterson saw the bigger picture. Moving from 9 to 6 feels inconsequential to the casual fan, but when looking at the returns teams receive for trading down from lower in the draft, it's easy to see how important those few selections can be. In 2021, the Vikings moved down from 14th to 23rd overall and only received a 3rd-round pick and a mid-round pick swap. In 2022, the Commanders moved down from the 11th overall selection to the 16th and received a 3rd and 4th round pick back. While still strong returns, this is nowhere near what the Eagles received. No one remembers the choices it took for the Eagles to acquire such a great player, but there's a major lesson here. If you're a bad team that's out of the playoff hunt, lean into the suck. Intentionally losing feels wrong. It feels like you are cheating the players, fans, and the sport. Yet the NFL incentivizes it. With no lottery system like the NBA has, you can simply lose your way to a better draft pick. You don't need to feel bad for taking advantage of a broken system. Coaches have been taking advantage of bad rules and loopholes for years. This is just a front office and coaching staff doing the same thing. Those top draft picks are incredibly valuable, and the criticism from losing is short-lived and even more quickly forgotten. The rewards of moving up the draft board and then being willing to trade down can be felt for years afterwards. The Eagles made the right choice that Sunday night against Washington, and Jordan Davis is their reward.